wasn't ready to go to college. I had just had too much fun in high school, and there was a draft at the time. My family had a history of military service, and so I decided I'd join the Army. The shock and awe of the first few days, losing your hair, being yelled at mercilessly, and doing push-ups till you could hardly move your arms. I was accepted at Infantry OCS at Fort Benning, Georgia. They teach you the basics of leadership, how to lead men, how to work basic tactics at a small unit level. And we boarded a ship, a Navy ship. They took us to Vietnam. Well, I thought it was a beautiful country, and that's how most people reacted to it. I mean, it's very green and lush and hilly, and the people were just as you can imagine, and as you've seen, they were working the rice fields with their water buffalo and that sort of thing. It was very pastoral and very agricultural, and it seemed very peaceful. We felt we were ready to go into combat. We simply needed to acquaint ourselves with the area. We were a regular infantry unit, so we were expected to conduct operations by foot, which we did, and also do aerial assaults by helicopter, which we did. We did typical infantry operations, that is, we'd go out on foot as a unit and do search and destroy operations, staying out in an area where the intelligence people had told us there might be VC activity. The downside came when we started losing people, because it was difficult enough, but it made it even worse because we knew these people's families. We knew the wives and the kids and all like that. And we went out of our way, and I mean that literally, to not cause needless casualties. And we'd take fire and hold our fire when maybe we shouldn't have. But that was just the way it was. We'd gone in to do a search and destroy operation, and we hit a lot of booby traps. They were hand grenades that had tripwires on them, and you'd trip these things and the grenades would go off, and I got some fragments in my arm and hand. I didn't trip it. I got some of the fragments from it. You know, we were young men who were motivated and had the right ideals. We wanted to serve the country, and we wanted to do something to help protect our interests, and so the motivation and dedication should never be doubted, and I think those are the things that ought to be considered most of all, and maybe even just as important, looking real hard at why it is we get involved in these kinds of things. To hear LBJ in 1964 gnashing his teeth about and agonizing how we were ever going to get out of that thing just makes me sick. I mean, he was the President of the United States. We had not gotten deeply involved in it yet. He was in a perfect position to say, President Kennedy and I disagreed on Vietnam. I think we ought to take a different approach, and this is what I'd like us to do. I learned how to take care of myself. I mean that in every possible way. I learned how to be a responsible man. I learned how to follow through on things, how to plan. It changed me in ways that probably would otherwise never have happened.